Hey, hello, welcome guys. So this is the part 2 of the video related to the AP invoice import using FBDI in Oracle integration. So in part 1 what we have done is that in part 1 we have created integration where we read the data CSV header data for from the SFTP server, CSV line data from the SFTP server, and we added basic logic to send error notification or success notification over email. In this video or part 2 of video, what we will do, we will generate CSV file for header and line so that we can upload that CSV file over UCM server by merging in a zip file. And also we will create properties file. I will explain you what is properties file and what's the use of that, so that we'll use the zip of all these properties file and the header and line CSV file together, and we will upload zip file using ERP cloud adapter. So let's begin. So here if you will see, previously I have already created videos, the part 1 related to the FDI import. In this video what I have done is that here you can see two videos. The part 0 is related to that, where I created integration, this complete integration. That complete integration is responsible for getting the file header file and the line file from SFTP server, creating the separate zip file for separate CSV file for the header and line in the format of the FDI upload, and then created the properties file, and then creating the zip file so that the properties file with that header and line CSV could be uploaded over UCM server, right? So that it will call the bulk upload and run the imports program. So this is the part 00, where I just explained the details related to the complete integration. After that we created part 1. In the part 1 what I have done, you can see in part 1 what I have done is that we, as I explained in part 1, we just added logic to read the CSV data related to the header and file from SFTP server, and just sending added the logic to send that email. Now what we need to do, we need to process next, and we need to create the CSV file for header and line in the format of FDI approach. So here I have the structure related to the same. So here you can see this folder. I will share this folder to you. You can get the link in description, so that will be easy to you for you to create the structure. So here you can see this is the lines interface structure, and this is the header interface structure. This structure contain all the columns which we need to use while creating the CSV file in our Oracle integration. And this is the structure that I derived from the CSV file for bulk upload we created, right, from the FBDI template. And this is the properties file. This properties file is also required in case of bulk upload using integration, because with the help of this properties file only we can set that ERP cloud that after importing the file data into the interface table, run the import program. So this is the details of the import program. You can see the job package name. This is the path of the program we are going to call for import program. This is the definition, and these all are the parameters. So the third one is the zip file prefix. So we need to provide the zip file prefix, and these all are the details related to the parameters of that import program. Right, this is the import program definition, and the path and the definition. This define that what's the import program name. This is the import program name, APXI import. So let's begin with the integration. So here in our integration, what we need to do is that we need to add the logic to create CSV file, right, in the format of everyday approach. So this already integration already creates. What I will do, I will not directly add here. I will just create a clone of this integration, access AP invoice using FDI 01, and that in the clone I will add, right? So here I have already this one. This is the 0, this is the 1, the 01. In 0 we have complete logic to upload the file in the format of the VDI approach, and that 01 we added some part, and now what we will do, will create a clone now using the 01, and we'll give name as 02, that it is the part 2. So let me just create, and now in the part 2 I will add all the logic, right? So here previously we have already added the logic to read the header file, to read the line file. Now what we need to do is that we need to create the zip file for that, right? So for creating the zip file, I have already the structure for the header and line, so I will add the logic here. So here if you will see, what we have done is that we added the list count of that header file. So if we have file over SFTP server, then we added read operation to read the file from server, and then we added the logic to list the line. So before going to list the line, what I will do is that I will just add a stage operation so that it will write the header CSV file, right? So here I will add here, right? And I will provide the name as we are going to use write operation. And here if you will see what name I have given is that I have given the name as write header CSV stage, right? So let's provide the same name, write header CSV stage, right? Now next, remember file name, whatever you are going to provide, that should be the same as the file name generated by the FBDI sheet, right? FBDI template. So the same name I will use, right? So here this is the header name. So I will use copy this one name. So I will select write file operation, and here we need to specify the file name, what kind of file name we want to write or create. So just I will use this file name, and here we need to specify the directory, temp directory. So instead of every time provided hard-coded directory, what I will do is that I will create variable, right? And in that variable I will provide the name. That will be easy for us, right? So that each and every time, so I will use var oic directory, oic temp directory, right? And here in starting we need to provide, so here just I want to provide the file name, suppose oic file name fbdi, OIC FBDI 10. Okay, this is the file name. And here, once we will create the CSV file, header file, and the properties file, then we need to create zip file. And also we require the path, right, for that zip file. So let me provide the zip directory also, where OIC underscore zip directory. And here what I will do, this is a temporary name, right? OIC zip directory, right? This directory I will use there. And also here if you will see, we require the zip file name, right? So for the zip file name we will use the import approach. So here if you will see here, what we have done is that we added the variable. That variable is can store the import set name, right? Import set, so that that will be easy for us to like next time add it. So in import set what will do is that we will put hard-coded value as xx import set underscore, and we will provide the instance id, whatever instance id every time it's generated, right? So I will use that one, that approach, so that the if you will see that the the import set name will be used in the header, right? While creating the header CSV file, if you remember, we are using import set name, right? So here I have added the first set. You can provide any import set name, whatever you define, and that import set name like will be helpful to use the data. So here in staging, if you will see the properties file, in properties file also we provided the zip file structure, and zip file structure after that we have also the import program name like batch name, set name. So we also required there only also, right? So here what we will need to do is that we created the variable. So first we will create import set variable. Okay, sorry, not this one. This is our integration, right? So here we will create var underscore import set, and in the import set what values I want to assign, I want to assign something like that, xx import set underscore, I want to concatenate the instance id at runtime, whatever it will generate. So for concatenating we have concate function, concat. This is the first value, and the second value will come from the metadata of the runtime integration, right? So here instance id I will just drag. Now our import set is ready, close. So now done, validate and the close, and I am going to create the header file, right? So here I will add header file. After reading the file, after reading the header file from SFTP server, we need to create headers CSV file in the form of FBDI structure. So here I will write write stages. I will give write header CSV stage. Next, write operation will provide the name. So the name I have already here. So I will just copy this name. If you will see, the name is AP Invoice Interface.csv, and another will be AP Invoice Lines Interface.csv. all right. And here the directory, so we have already created direct variable for the directory where OIC temp directory I will provide here, right? So that each and every time I don't want to write, right? Next. And the, yes, we have the CSV structure, so I will select CSV. I need to upload, so this is the file I will upload for providing the header file CSV structure, right, in the form of FDI import. So I will select this one. So here this one header, I will select this header. Okay, not this one. Here we have template. Inside the template we have this one, AP Invoice interface. I will select this one, and here I need to provide R and RS. This is the just node name, so you can provide any node name. Optional, make, and the first column make as mandatory, because the first any of the column is required, right? We need to provide as mandatory. Next. Done. So here what we have done, we added the stage operation to generate header CSV file, but we need to map the data. So data from where we will map, we have added the FTP adapter to read the data. So here in response of this read file FTP, we have the header data. So we will map response of this one to this mapping. So just expand here and go expand it, expand, and here you can see we have all the details, right? So we have to map, may have to map the read file FTP response, right? Expand here, expand, expand, and this is the RS, and here we have to map. So here we have invoice ID, invoice ID, invoice number, invoice number, invoice amount, invoice date, invoice description. Where is invoice description? This is the invoice description. Import set, so here it required import set, and we already have variable to for import set, so I will map this one, right? So that whenever each and every time integration will execute, and it will generate a new import set as I have given the instance ID concatenated, right? So and what value we need to map? Invoice ID, invoice number, amount. Here you can see this for header, this is the details, right? We required invoice ID, business unit, source, business unit also required. So here let's check where is business unit. Yeah, so here you can see in this one we have business units, so I will map this business unit. Here we required source also, so here we have source somewhere, just find the source, invoice source. Yes, now we have to give the supplier name, supplier is the supplier name, and the supplier site. Where is the supplier site? Invoice currency, and yes, we have invoice currency, invoice currency, payment currency, invoice type. Do we have somewhere invoice type? And legal entity is not mandatory, but we can provide the legal entity also. Let me check, do we have legal entity? No, that's not required, but we have legal entity in file, so I just map here, right? So it's legal entity done. And the payment term, payment term, turn date, accounting date, somewhere here we have accounting date, and the liability combination. So here this liability combination is not mandatory at header level, as it will come default from the supplier, but if we have in the file we can map. So somewhere here this is the liability combination we will map. So we have mapped all the mandatory data related to the CSV, and the rest of that will be generated. And here if you will see in the last, here we have and, right, in the structure. So what I will do, I will provide hard coded and, because whenever we generate CSV file from the FVDI sheet, or we can say FVDI template, it's created CSV file, and the last of the CSV file for the each and every line we have and, so that it can easily identify the end of the line. That's why we provided hard coded value here, right? So we have mapped all the mandatory values related to the header file, right? So cancel, sorry, validate, and done, and close. Now we have to create the stage operation for creating the CSV file, right? So here you can see, let me reset. So here we added the stage operation to write the or create the header CSV file. Now it's time to create the line CSV file. So where are going to create a line CSV file, where we have added FTP adapter to read the line data. So now here we will add the stage operation to make a write of that. So write line stage, and next, and here we will select a line, and also we need to provide the line file name. So here we have line file name as AP Invoice. So I will just make a copy of this one, and I will provide the name here. We can also use lookup to provide all these values, so that will be advanced. So in next videos I will explain you that one also. So here we have to provide the directory. So as we have already stored the directory in a variable, so we will just map that variable here. So where OIC temp directory, right? So done. That's the benefit of using the variables and all, so that each and every time we don't require to provide the value. CSV is fine, we need to provide the CSV structure for the line. So this is the line CSV structure I have created. I will share this with you next, and we need to provide the record and record set name. So anything I will provide, make it null at the optional, and here we need to provide the value optional. Now next, and something we have missed, right? So here we need to provide manage mandatory, and done. So here we added a stage operation to create the line CSV file based on FBDI approach, FBDI template. But here we need to provide the mapping. We will provide mapping from the read line FTP response. So just expand here, expand, and expand. So here guys, if you will see, this is the array element icon, right? So if you will see the list line read line FTP response, we have the repeating element. It means that we can have the arrays multiple values, arrays element, this one. So here what we need to map this one array with the array. So suppose if we have multiple records in this CSV file, in the file which we read, so based on this array to array directly we can map. So if we have three records, so with the help of this array mapping, it will already generate three files in that in the right line also, right? That's why we need to map this array element with that array element and the rest of the column. So I forget to mention map this array element while creating the header. So I will just, after that I will add there only line type line. Okay, this is the invoice number, we map with the line number, that's wrong. So I will remove the mapping, and yeah, line number will be mapped with that. Amount, yes, line amount. Invoice quantity we don't require, we have line description, yeah. Distribution combination, so here we have to provide distribution combination, this one, and the accounting date, this one, mapping. So here we have mapped all the required value for creating the line CSV. So here if you will see here, in videos I have already explained for the header file what kind of values are mandatory or required, for the line what kind of values are mandatory. So I mapped all the values. Now it's done, and we have here in the end we have to add the end. So here let me add and validate, validate, close. So now here you can see what we have done is that we successfully created the header CSV file and the line CSV file. Now it's time to create the properties file. So what is this properties file? So here if you will see, you can directly upload this to file and make a zip to the UCM server, but it will upload and load into interface table, but it will not run the import program. So the in ERP cloud adapter we have bulk upload operation that requires the properties file. Properties file defines that the what kind of import program we have to execute. So here you can see this is the property file structure I have created for your reference. So here you can see we are going to provide the package name or the path of the import program, and here you can see the definition. This is the import program short name. So this properties file defines that what kind of program is going to call and which zip file is we are going to upload. So here you can see in properties file also require the zip file, and these all are the parameters of that import program. So I will explain you each and every point. So here if you will see, if will we move to the fusion page, if you will go to the tools and the schedule process, if we will run the import program, you can see it will ask the some parameters, right? that all parameters we need to provide in the properties file only. So here if you will see, I will select import tables. Yeah, you can see this one, import tables, and okay. And if you will see here, just let me show. So here you can see this is all the details which required for that import program. So this is the name of the import program, and what parameters they ask total 12 parameters. You can see the business unit, ledgers, the source. So our source, as suppose we will use external, import said it's required import group, and these all are the non-mandatory parts, right? So if you will submit this one, right here, you suppose I provided any import part, import set test, import group test, and this is the ledger and this is the business unit, right? So here if you will submit, you can see all the parameters in the submit parameters also. So from there only we will get the parameters name, parameters details, so that that will be easy. We have another option also that we can directly move to the setup and maintenance, and from where we can search the custom program and we can check the parameters. But before checking from there only, I will show you the easiest steps, right? So here you can see this is the import payables invoice. This is the main program which is going to load the data from interface table to the base table, right? We require that to call that also. While FDI approach, I have shown you, right? While after uploading the file, we use load interface, then we use. So these all the parameters we pass. So actually here, if you will see, we don't have any sequence, right? But whenever we create that the properties file, we need to follow the sequence as argument 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. So how you identify the what's the argument of that? So here you can see all property parameter. You can see the argument 1 is null, argument 2 is the business unit, that I have checked. If you will check these values in the table, you can see the business unit name. Argument 3 is null, 4, 5, 7 is 1000. You can see that 1000 is coming default, and here argument 8 is external. Argument 8 means that the source we added, right? And here you can see argument 9 is import set, argument 10 is purge, and 9 you can see 11 is and that the summary size, and the attributes 12 you can see this is the ledger, and the argument 13 is the import group, right? We added the import group. So this is the value we will same values we will use while creating the properties file, right? So let's move to the creating properties file. So we will create properties files after creating the CSV file for header and the line. So here we created properties CSV file for header, here we created CSV file for line. So once both will be created, right, then only we will go to and create the zip file. So how we will identify that the both have created successfully? So for that, what we will do, we will create one default variable as we will consider as a flag, right? So here suppose we created var underscore header CSV flag, okay? And here in starting it's considered as suppose y, it means that suppose we created, or we can say no, right? Consider that the header file not created, and again we will use same var underscore line CSV underscore flag, and in a starting it will also be and for no we will consider, right? So validated and done. And now what we need to do, we are going to do is that if here we successfully created the header CSV file, then control will move here, right? So before moving, what I will do, I will update that variable with y. So as that is no now, and means that the header is not created CSV header CSV. So I will use mm, update header flag underscore action, update header flag action. Here I will select the variable, the flag variable I created. Where is the flag? Yeah, header CSV flag, and here I will make that and to y, right? So it's y, close, validate, and close. So here it means that if we successfully created the header CSV file, it will update the header flag as y, same as we have to do with the line. So if we successfully created the line CSV file, so it will update the line one. So update line flag underscore action. assign, sorry, assign, and here we will select the variable, the line flag. Where is the line? Yeah, line CSV flag, and I will make this as white, right? Validate, close, validate and close. So now here if you will see the variable, the two flag variable is updated by y if we successfully created the header file and the line file. So now if header and line both file have created, then only we need to create the properties file and we need to process the next, right? So here if you will see, here we created the line CSV file, and now after that control we move here. So here we will add the logic if we have both flag as y, right? So now here we have to add the condition. So for adding the condition we have switch, so we will use switch action, and we'll check if both the flag has the value y. It means that both the header and the CSV file generated, right? That will be the logic only. So what I will do, I will just here and will check. So here I will use the first flag, the header flag. If the header flag is equals to y, right, and here we need to add another logic. So just to go, and here we will add and the line flag is equals to y. As we are going to add two condition and we want both of that to be true, that's why we added all of matlab ki all of the conditions should be true, right? So if added header and line CSV created, this is the name of the condition I provided. You can provide anything, and here if you will click on the expression mode, you can see the condition. So here the var header flag is equals to y and the line flag is equal to y. That's our requirement. We should have the create the stage file only, create the properties file only with both file have generated. So now here we need to create the properties file. So for creating the properties file, here we will use a stage operation. In a stage operation we will give write property stage. I want to write properties file. Yeah, here I will select write, and here we need to provide the properties file name. So here you can see I have already created properties file name, so I will use the same file, right? So that will be the this one, property file dot property. This name can be anything, but the type will be properties only, right? So here I will to provide the name, this one, save, build, and now this specify the output directory. So here output directory for creating the properties file, this properties file also be in the same directory where we created header and line. So here we created header line in the temp directory, OIC temp directory. So I will just select this directory only, so that the all three files, header CSV, line CSV, and the zip, the properties file should be available on the same directory, so that we can make zip, right? That's why here we need to provide the structure. So for properties file, we have already this one, properties file.file.csv structure I created, right? I will provide r for record, rs for record set. And now here if you will see, for the properties file we require this path, job path name, job definition name, zip file prefix. This is the zip file prefix. It means that we are going to create zip file, right? In the zip file we will merge. So what will be the prefix of the zip file name? We need to provide here argument 1 is null, and this you can say argument 2 as a business unit name and business unit ID, not a name, remember. And different all the arguments, and this all parameters for you can easily figure out from here only, that argument 1 2 3. I always prefer to follow that approach only. So what I am going to do is that just I am going to run the import program from front end, whatever parameters we need to select, I select from there only, and I use the value, that value as a reference. So here if you will see, in our properties file we required that much of values. So first we required in the properties file, there is three more columns. So here if you will see the properties file, we have package name, definition and name, and the zip file prefix. Then after here we have, if you will see, this one, right? But here if you will see, these two will be fixed. in case of import invoice for AP invoices, this will be this two will be fixed, and the zip file prefix that can be the random. Whatever zip file you are going to create, give the name you can use here, right? And this is the business unit ID, and this is the ledger ID, right? And here this is the import set name. So we have already created one variable for adding the import set, so we will use that variable here. We have source, these things we required, right? So what we will do is that we will first create a variable for that, so that that will be easy to map, right? So here what I will do, so here that let me first finish this one. Done. Now here we have to provide the mapping of for that, right? So for each and everything we require values, right? So what I will do, I will create a variable and add. So here you can see in the properties file, we require package name, package definition. So instead of making hard coded there, I will create a variable and add there only. So here I will provide var underscore import package name, and here what we need to provide. So I have already taken a copy of this one, so from where you can find, I will also show you from where you can find these details, right? Validate, close, and here we need to provide the definition, var import program definition, and here definition, if you will see, this is the value. So in case of AP invoice, this is the value. In case of any other different import program, that values will be different for all the import programs, right? So I will also show you how you can identify that value. And now we require business unit ID and the ledger ID, right? So I will create one variable, so I will use var buid, and here we in the business unit ID we provide the value. This is the business unit value I copy from the import program itself, right? Yeah, from here only, this is the value. So while submitting the import program, I provided that value, right? So this can be different, the value business unit values can be different, the ledger can be different based on the requirement. So what you can do, that's why here if you will see, I created the variable, and in that variable I will provide the value, so that at the runtime, if there was the requirement to give you different BU, you can provide that BU from mapping only, right? From this variable only. Var underscore lead is here ledger ID, and here I know this is the ledger ID, right? So I will just make a copy of that. And here if you will see one more thing, we need to, in the properties file, we need to provide the zip file prefix, right? Zip file prefix matlab for which name you are going to create the zip file, for the starting few words, right, of the zip file name. So I will also create the zip file here, where zip file prefix, and here suppose I will provide zip file prefix name as, I just follow that the test conventions, okay? So our zip file will be xxzappinv underscore, and here I will concatenate the imports instance ID of the integration. So as this is a prefix, I don't want here, while creating the zip file I will provide the instance as he also, right? So done. So these are the value I added. Now we need to, also we required here, if you will see, here we require the source, right? If import program, if you will see here, we run, we require the source, right? At the import set, the for import set we have already created variable, right? For import set we already created the variable here, import set, and given the value. And after import set, what value we require, if you will see, we require the import group, so we also will use the same values in group. And here we require the source, right, as external we selected. So this is the same we used, and this is the same we have in the data file, right? For example, I show you, if this is the data file here over the server, right? So in header, if you will see what values they provide source as a external, right? That's why I added external here. So I will create one variable for that, var underscore inv source, and I will provide the value as external. Now close. So now all the default values are created variable. I will use this in mapping. So now here let's move. So here you can see, here in the properties file mapping we need to provide the details. So just edit, and once I will explain here. Here we need to provide the job package name. So job package name we already created, import package name. So I will map here. Job definition we already added. Zip file prefix we already created the variable for that. Argument 1. So here if you will see, argument 1 is null, and here we need to provide the null. So how we will provide the null? Here in the properties file we provided null by hash capital null. This is the values to provide the null values, right? This is a syntax for provide the null value in the properties file. Argument 2 is buid. So I already created variable for buid somewhere. Yeah, you can see buid. I will map here. Argument 3, if you will see, argument 3 is n. So here I will provide the hard coded values as n. And argument 4, if you will see, argument 4 is also null. So I will just make this 4 as null. So for null we need to use hash null. Argument 5, argument 5 is also null. Hash nu.l. And 6, you will see, argument 6 is null. Use hash nul. Argument 7, argument 7 is 100. So I will directly provide this 100 values, 1000, sorry. 1000. So this is the easy process. You can identify the import program and their parameters and the values also, right? Argument 8 is external, and we know that external is the source, right? So we have already variable for the source. So where is the invoice source? We created as an external invoice source, right? So just map here. Argument 9, what is the argument 9? So argument 9 is the import set name. So I will just, so why this I easily identify the argument 9 is the import set name, as this is the value of the import set we provided the while running. You can see the import set, right? We given the import set, and here you can see also the group, import group somewhere. Yeah, invoice group we also provided the import invoice group, and you can see the invoice group here. Argument 30 is the invoice group, right? So argument 9 is the 9 import set name. So we have variable for import set. This is the import set. So I will map here. Argument 10, argument 10 is n. So I will just provide the hard coded value n. Argument 11, argument 11 is also n. Guys, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, right? So if you will follow, subscribe, and that give you the like and comment, that will be great for me. So here you can see argument 2 as laser id. So argument 2 laser id, I have already created variables. It didn't match, right? So laser id map again. Done. Argument 13 and the 14. So 13 is the import group name, and the 14. So I just want to provide the import group name as same as the import set name. So I will map here, and the argument 14 is 1. I will map this as 1. So now our properties file is ready, and just go validate and close. So here in integration, we added all the logic to read the header CSV file, line CSV file from SFTP server, created header and line CSV file based on the FBDI structure, and then based on the logic added, we created the zip file. So now here we added all the logic. So sorry, created properties file. Now we have to add the zip file. If you remember, I forget to map the arrays element while creating the header, right? So just let me map, else it will create problem. It will add only one value. You can see this array is not mapped. So here I will map the array element, right? This is the array element with the map here. Now done. So everything is fine. So as I was remember that I forgot to add the mapping for the array. So done, everything is fine. So what we need to do is that we need to now create the zip file, and in the zip file what we have to do is that we have to merge this, the properties file, we have to merge the lines file, line csv file, and the header csv file. And we know that all these three file we created, where we created in the same directory in the oracle oic, oracle virtual directory, right? So here we will use, for creating the zip file, again we will use a stage operation, and we will provide that the zip stage. I will give the name as zip stage. Now here we are going to make a zip file, so select zip file operation, and this is the specify the file name. So this is the zip file name. Remember we created one variable, that variable contain the zip file prefix, right? So I will use that zip file prefix, and in the name of the file I will use, I want to concrete the underscore instance id name. So how we can do is that, so we can use concrete zip file, and we will provide the instance id. So from where we will get the instance id? We will get the instance id from the metadata, runtime instance id. So our zip file will be created with the zip file prefix underscore instance id. That's fine. Close. And now it's provide the directory from where we have to zip, specify the directory to zip. So here I want to zip all the file available over the temp directory we created. So where oic temp directory, in this directory we only created the header csv file, line csv file in the format of fbdi import, and the properties file we created in this directory only. So I will provide mapping here, right? And this is the directory from where our zip file will be played. So we have already created variable to store the zip file also. So here you can see somewhere we have zip directory, right? Where zip file, yeah, where oic zip directory, right? So I will just map save and close. So here in this step our zip file will be created, right? So here it will create the zip file, right? So what we need to do is that last step remain is to upload the zip file over ucm server with the help of erp bulk upload. So in the next video, or in the next part of that video, I will add that erp cloud adapter. So in this video, that's the only part we have to cover, and we already covered that one. Created ap invoice header csv file in the fbdi format, and the line and the created properties file, and make a zip of that properties file, right? So let me execute and run the file. So what we need to do is that, let me add the email notification to send that the zip file over ucm server over email, right? So that we can identify. So for adding the zip file, what we required notification to, right? So here we map, and in the notification what we want is that we want to send the email. So here fbdi zip file underscore notification, okay? And here we need to add the from. So here if you will see, yeah, we already created the from variable, right? So where from email I will add to, also we created to email I will map here, and here I will give the subject as oracle integration. Zip file. Okay, I am giving the name just like that, and here hiding, please find zip file, regards oic support team. And here we need to provide the reference of the zip file. So here if you will see, we where we added the right zip somewhere, right? You can see this is the right zip stage. I will go ics, here we have the file reference, I will map here. So in the notification we require the reference only to pass the over server, right? So just validate and close. So here once all the process will be completed, the zip file will placed over email, right? So we will check from there only, right? Just save, close. So we have already the data file over server. So you can see this is our sftp server, where in invoice header folder we have header file, invoice line folder we have line file. So these two file will be picked from the server, and it will create header and line csv file, and it will create properties file, and it will make a zip of that. So let me run this integration. right? Activate, and here just after activating, let's run the integration, right? So that's the body. I don't want to provide anything, just click on test. Our integration will be completed and the file will be sent over the email only. So you can see we don't have any error. In last you can see the right properties stage, zip stage, and the zip file notification, that's the triggered, right? So let me check my email. Okay, so here you can see we received the zip file here, and you can see hi team, please find zip file, but there is one mistake here. In the zip file we don't have the zip. It's not looking like zip because in the file name we not provided the structure, the file pattern. So what is the file pattern? So I have done the mistake there only. I forgot to add that zip extension of that zip file, right, in the file name. So I need to add here, go, and here if you will see in the while creating the zip file, in the name only. So this is the zip file prefix and the instance id. After that we require to add dot zip, right? Save and exit. Next, done, everything is fine. Update, and now we'll go save, close. Again if I will run, I will get the zip file, right? I will show you. It is also zip file, right? If I will add the extension here after downloading, if I will add the extension, you will see if I will add dot zip, it will be a zip file. If I will click here, you can see inside that we have three files, right? Here you can see the header file, line file, and the properties file. But we forgot to add the zip. That's why we added here. So let me run the integration again. Now go submit, test. You can see I will get email with that zip property, zip syntax also, right? So just integration executed, file send over the email. Here if I will go and back, and here you can see I got another email, and that email you can see the syntax as the zip. If I will download this one, you can see this is downloaded in the zip structure only. And if I will open this one, you can see here these three are the zip file, the headers, line, and CSV. If let me first close all the zip excel I opened, right? And here if you will see this is the header file, and here you can see we have two invoices in the data file, so it created two line zip file, and in last you can see we have and, right? Same as the line, for two invoices we have total 5 lines, so here you can see all the line details and all the values we added here, everything, right? And in last you can find somewhere and, you can see FB and, right? So this is the line and this is the properties file. So if you will open the properties file in notepad, you can see this is the value we added. This is the path of the program, this is the definition, and you can see this is a zip file prefix. This is the same as our zip file name. If you will see our zip file name, xxzappinv underscore xxzappinv underscore, and these all are the details we added here, right? And if you will see, if we will upload the zip file, it will load the data into the fusion, right? So in next video I will show you that. Thank you so much for watching.